Hello, Mark Red Larson here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining us. My guest today is Bob Wisher of Detroit, Michigan. How are you doing, Bob?
Good.
So
Real
how's
good.
everything? How's everything in Detroit?
It's beautiful today. Beautiful. Can't wait to get outside here.
I know what you mean. So is that your hometown?
Not Detroit per se, a suburb of, but I've lived in this area my whole life.
Okay. Okay. I've been to Michigan, but not Detroit. So
Yeah.
more over by Kalamazoo and that area, and then which is a nice area too. So
Yeah.
so Bob, what do you do? I mean, what's your
What do I
calling? What do
do?
you do for in Detroit?
I am the relationship engineer,
Okay.
and why I've coined that phrase is I have a passion for helping men, specifically men, to find better relationships with themselves,
Okay.
or other people. I grew up not having a lot of relationships. Guys I went to school with, things like that, where I kind of always felt like a lone wolf or an outsider, a fifth wheel kind of
Okay.
situation. And as I've developed my skill sets, I realized after 30 years of working in the corporate automotive industry, I actually was pretty good at being able to decipher what's wrong in relationships. So,
Okay.
for example, myself, I mean, I was married for 19 years to
Okay.
my first wife, married again now for going on 5, and my first marriage was less than ideal. I'll be nice.
Okay. Okay.
There was not there was not a real strong connection, and there wasn't from day one. And in retrospect, going back through and learning, going through the lessons I learned
Right.
from that relationship, what really went wrong.
Hmm.
And so between that and just constantly being in relationships with coworkers,
Sure.
and understanding teams. I mean, what the work I do is I'm a coordinator of a team. I bring the
Okay.
different entities of the group together, help them work through um, issues or disagreements, whatever. And again, that's there's no different than
Hmm.
a relationship between a husband and a wife, or a mother and a son, or a father and a daughter, or whatever.
Right.
Um, and it's become like a passion for me. Uh, 5 years ago, I was reading some books, and well, it's almost, well, more than 5 years ago now. Um, Reading some books about men's mental health, men's personal growth
Sure.
type stuff,
Right.
and
Right.
seeing this recurring theme about men needing to be in community with each other. And it's like, yeah, absolutely, because it's something
Right.
I've been doing for my entire life. So instead of just accepting it and continuing on my merry way alone, I created a men's group, um,
Nice.
where it's 5 years old at this point. It's where
Okay.
the term "men becoming better men" comes from. That was the original name of the group.
Okay.
Um, that's become my coaching mantra now. Is men becoming better men. I want to help any man that I can become a better version of himself, whatever that is for him.
Right. Right. I could see that be to the individual.
Yeah.
So how did you get from where you are today to starting that? I mean, just all of us one day you decided to do this, or
It's actually back in 2016.
okay.
I had just gotten divorced for the first one. Hopefully, the second one. I don't say that like I'm going to do it again. I don't want to go through
Hmm.
that again.
Hmm. Hmm.
I just gotten divorced. Was having some issues rebuilding my relationship with my kids because they were alienated from me while we were going through the process. So rebuilding my relationship with my kids. I had gotten a promotion at work, and it was extremely stressful. And come to find out, the company was in the process of being sold, so there was a lot of added pressure, a lot of
Yeah.
unrealistic expectations, things like that. And I basically, I just hit rock bottom. My own personal rock bottom. I was like, I don't want to be in this job. I'm
Right.
struggling with the family, and it was just like everything I'd known for 20 years was a solid job and
Mm-hmm.
a family surrounding me, and I had none of that anymore.
Wow.
So, um, what I ended up, I obviously, our phones listen to us all the time, right? And I don't know how
Right.
it picked it up, but I saw an advertisement for high performance men's coaching on there,
Okay.
and I dove in, and it was scary as hell because
Okay.
it was expensive and it was challenging to say the least,
Yep.
but it it opened so many doors for me that again, I wouldn't. I tell my men's group this quite often. Actually, if I don't make that decision back in 2016 to dive
Mm-hmm.
into that, take that risk, and invest in myself,
Right.
none of them would be sitting there,
True.
and none of them would have gotten uh,
Yes.
the things that they've gotten out of the group. The people I've coached, the people I've worked with, wouldn't have gotten. And I'm a firm believer in the pebble in the pond, right? When you throw
Yes.
a pebble
Yes.
into a pond and it ripples out,
Yep. Me too.
things that I do for myself first and foremost, because I got to fill my cup, but then
Mm-hmm.
that usually translates to another person. They'll hopefully be inspired or encouraged by our conversation or something I've said, something I've done, and that will continue for them to do that to somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. And I actually had this conversation with my coach this morning about that exact thing, about how we have no idea. I mean, even just in a conversation like you and I are having, that one of us could say something to each other in that conversation, in the context of that conversation,
Yep.
that might not benefit us right now today, but 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road, that whatever that thought is could come back to us, and we could do something, say something, or be something, or be some version of ourselves that is going to inspire somebody else or something good to happen. And
Right.
we'll never know it. We'll never
Yeah.
know that. We won't remember why that came up, but it'll happen. Again,
Right.
that's God's will for those types of things to happen. So
Yes. No, and I love that, and I believe in the ripple thing too. So you never know when people are paying attention, and you never know when you're inspiring them. It might be just exactly what they need at that moment, and
yeah,
it is. I've had that happen to me, and it's just like, wow, I would have never guessed that would have meant anything to anybody. But
right.
and I am I guess a fan of inspirational, motivational quotes and stuff like that. Probably maybe too much.
I've seen a lot of your Facebook stuff.
I have a few of them, and actually, supposed to be writing more. And but it's just like I'm amazed how some of those really resonate. It's just like, okay, I wouldn't have guessed that would have resonated at all. Sometimes
Yeah.
it definitely surprised me. So yeah, you just never know who's watching and what they're watching, of you. So
Yeah.
so I'm glad you've done this. So how many men are you in a group, or do you have a certain size for your group, or how does that work?
It ebbs and flows. Sometimes guys come in, sometimes we're usually running about 20. We run the meeting every other week.
Okay.
We usually get 20 to 25 men showing up every other week.
Nice.
We do have some membership rules and requirements and things like that. So
Sure.
at any point in time, we've had around 40 members.
Wow.
That are part of the group, and of course, not everybody shows up every week. But
Sure.
what that has now spawned, actually, is because I've established, I've been working and nurturing that group for about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly 5 years. I've kind of turned that over to the men that I've trained up to lead that.
Okay.
Now I've created a different version. I don't want to call it new and improved, because there's nothing wrong with the old one, but a little next level kind of
Gotcha.
group. I'm calling it Men Becoming Elite Men.
Okay.
And that's going to kick off in September, and that's going to be basically a mastermind group.
Oh wow. Okay.
it'll be a maximum of seven men, and I hope to have multiple groups, but each group would be a maximum of 7 men, and
Okay.
go through things like learning how to increase our self control, our self esteem, creating um, uh, improving our career success or financial stability,
Okay.
things like that, and basically just becoming the man that you want to be. Because a lot of us are walking
Yes.
around saying, something's missing, and
Yes.
I'm not sure what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but
Yep.
I feel like there should be more. I feel like I want to do more or be more. I mean, that's
Yep.
one of the things I work on with my coaches. He says, he repeats this all the time. Who are you becoming?
Yeah.
Because if we're not growing, we're dying, right?
Yep.
So if we're not moving forward, we're not taking steps to move forward. That, yin and yang, right? The opposite
Right.
of is true. If we're not
Right.
growing, we're dying. And at 50 plus years old, that's a scary proposition, right?
It
I don't
is.
want to be I don't want to be regressing towards the grave. I want to be moving
Yeah.
forward towards something for me in my life that he wants me to do.
Hmm. Yeah, I know what you mean. So when this new group, do you decide what's discussed, or do the group of men decide, or
Yeah, there's going to be it'll be a little bit of both. It will be led. I will
okay,
lead the group. There'll be, probably I haven't hashed it out 100% yet, but as
sure,
far as it's a specific amount of time, it's an hour-long meeting, so
okay,
um, at least 15-20 minutes probably of it might be me just sharing some concepts, some ideas, some thoughts, some things that I've learned.
okay,
And then we'll open the discussion. There'll be some Q&A. I'll pose some challenging questions to the men, um, get their thoughts where they're at. Kind of
right, exactly,
make them think. Definitely a group coaching kind of scenario.
okay,
Then in addition to that, and kind of not necessarily in the group meetings, but what I'm going to ask each man to do is come up with some goals for himself, 6 and 12 month goals,
okay,
in various categories, and we're gonna publish those in a shared document online, and use that for accountability. So like if you said that I wanted, well, you're a pretty thin guy, but if you want to lose 10 pounds, in the next 3 months,
right,
I'm going to be able to look in there and say, okay, Mark's got this goal. He wants to lose 10 pounds in 3
right,
months. So I'm going to check. I'm going to either check in on you regularly or be looking for you to give us updates on that. How are you doing? How are you
okay,
progressing? Are you hitting stumbling blocks? Or do you need
right,
additional support? How can I help you? How can I support you? How can I help you achieve your goals? So it's both educational and accountability, kind of all wrapped into one.
okay, very good. So are these people online or in person, or are they?
This is going to be online.
Yeah,
One of the things I've struggled with for the last 5 years is to, obviously our group now is in person, so you have to live
right,
in this Metro Detroit area nearby to, within there. We've got guys that are coming from an hour plus away,
okay,
which is awesome, but
yeah,
it's kind of a burden, every other week to do that. But it's been valuable enough to where people have done that. But I was always getting I've got a Facebook group, Men Becoming
okay.
Better Men online Facebook group as well, and there's guys in there from all over, actually from all over the world,
Oh, I bet, yeah,
actually, and a lot of times I'll be chatting with somebody, and they'll be, well, how can I get involved in this? I'm saying, oh
right,
man, sorry, you live in California, you can't,
uh huh.
it's a long commute to get here for every other
That would
Saturday.
be definitely a long commute. Yeah.
But so I'm creating this online version of it, and we'll use a lot of the same content.
Okay.
Our standards, for one. There's a certain set of standards that we live by in Men Becoming Better Men. Um, for example, be impeccable with your word, be on
Yes.
time. Um, uh, One we call don't take things personally, which is
Yeah.
basically don't engage your ego. There's a
Yep.
whole list of like about 18 of them that we use on a regular basis, and those are really the saving grace, honestly, of what Men Becoming Better Men
I can believe that.
started with and has become, because we use those standards on a regular basis to help each other. And you kind of hold the mirror up for your fellow man and say, hey,
Yes.
I'm trying to give you some constructive feedback here, but you're engaging your ego with me. You're
Yeah.
getting defensive. You're not hearing what I'm trying to help you see
Yes.
in yourself. I'm not
Yes.
taking a personal shot at you. I'm not, criticizing
Yeah.
or judging
Right.
you. I'm just saying this is what I see. And if you were to see that and take it to heart, maybe your life is going to get a little better, because maybe this problem, this concern, this issue is not going to be so forefront of your mind, and taking your energy and putting you in this strange
Yes.
state of mind that a lot of course nobody wants to be frustrated, angry, or there's
Right.
not.
No, that's right. So, yeah, ego can get definitely in the way. So, what do you hope to do? Like what haven't you done that you would still like to do with this? Like in a couple of years down the line.
What haven't I done? Well, for right now, I want to get. Well, I'd love to see men becoming elite men. Get going, get
Yes.
started, and build it up. Um, I'd like to see multiple groups, and the reason I say multiple groups is because I want to keep it. Also, I want it to be a community as well. That's why I picked the number
Okay.
7, because I think much more than that, and it gets to be too much.
Yeah.
And less than that, it's not enough. So I think that's a sweet spot kind of number. I'd
Okay.
like to see multiple groups of 7, and then those men, again, from all over the country, um, can support each other, form friendships, brotherhood, support each other, and whether they're in businesses or in their relationships, whatever. I right now that's my big. As far as going beyond that, I'm in the process of writing a book on how we
Cool.
do the Men Becoming Better Men group.
Okay.
My goal is to get that published probably sometime in the next year, and
Awesome.
see that take off. I mean, I know there's a lot of different men's groups around the country, but I feel like our format and the why we do what we do and what we have
Mm-hmm.
is pretty powerful. Not to say that anyone else isn't. I just know men need to be in community. I mean, the women are doing it. The women have been. That's kind of why when I first started looking into it, I found a bunch of women's groups, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute, women are making leaps and bounds of progress from decades ago, when they
Right.
couldn't all the equal rights and all that stuff, and
Yep.
they've come a long way because they do those kinds of things. And I think men are losing ground. Not to say
I would
that
agree. Yeah.
it's a bad thing. I'm all for women. I support whatever they do, and for them to be powerful as well. But we're kind of staying, like I said, same thing. We're not growing, we're dying. And men, there's so many that just they're going through the motion. And I was one of them. That's why I know for the 20 years of my first marriage, I was going through the motions. I'd go to work, I'd come home, I'd sit on my butt and watch some TV, watch some
Mm-hmm.
sports,
Right.
and rinse and repeat every single day. And it's just, I was in a comfortable spot. And I felt like, okay, this is great. I got this nice house. I got, kids are smart, they're doing well in school.
Right.
The problem was they moved out.
Yeah.
They grew up and went to college and moved out.
Yep.
And I got divorced all at the same time. But so then I'm standing there. That was the other part of what I mentioned earlier was my kind of my rock bottom is,
Uh-huh.
all right, the kids are out in college. They don't really need me, physically every day.
Right.
The verbal interaction of the parent, the fathering part of my job was pretty much done at that point.
Exactly.
I'm supporting them financially, but there's other than that, it's like, what am I doing now? I'm 45 years old at that point.
Yep.
I got half of my life ahead of me, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
What am I saying? I've checked the big box of life, raised the kids, and now what?
Yeah.
And that was kind of my wake up call to say, what am I supposed to be doing? God didn't put me here to just, live 45 years of life.
True.
So
No, I hear you. And, when I talk to men, there's a lot of lost men. They just don't know. There used to be, like you say, they very much structured guidelines what men did. And now it's confusing at the very least,
Yeah.
And it does. It's like, I don't know. There's a lot of lost people, that
Yeah.
I just think everything has changed so much. And, and I know when I talk to people, for one thing, most people I talk to aren't happy because they're doing jobs that they really not liking, and this is it. And it's like it doesn't have to be. So, but it's. I always tell them that if they were given a dream, that they have the ability to do it. It may not be easy, but that they do have the ability, or they
Yeah.
do their some days that they want to do. And I'm glad you're guiding the men. So I have to ask you, what were your dreams when you were growing up? What do you want to be when you were a kid?
Oh, what did I want to be? I want to be a firefighter.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Either that or like a Top Gun pilot. But
Oh wow, nice.
horrible eyesight, so that went away very quickly. Firefighter, I'm afraid of heights, so that kind of went out.
Yeah, that might not be.
And that's kind of where you mentioned where a lot of people are stuck, and my theory on that is because we go through elementary school, high school, and it's like the pressure is go to college, go to college.
Exactly.
Okay, fine. I'll make the grades. I'll get into a college, whether it's a good one, a bad one, whatever. Go to college, spend my time there, prove that I'm, worthy of employment, and then you get this corporate job, and it's kind of they stick you in the pigeonhole, and you go through it until you pop out the other side. And you're like, okay, I have this job, and I have this paycheck, and okay, now what?
Yeah, exactly.
But in the meantime, I hate what I'm doing.
Yes.
Because it's not fulfilling me. It's not.
Nope.
It's not. If I could rewind my life back to college and do it over again, I'd have gone into some type of mental health, psychiatry or something like that. Because I know now that's what fills me up is talking to people, helping people, serving people.
Right.
I went to business school. I got a management degree. I've been managing people and parts for 30 years, and every moment I've done it, I feel a little bit of my life being sucked out of my body. And
I hear you.
I don't hate it. I just don't like it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's afforded me a good life. Yeah, it's afforded me a good life, but it's definitely not fulfilled me. No. And the work I'm doing now with the men and creating these groups and these communities and stuff like that it's beyond rewarding. I know when I think about this quite often as if, because we talk about it a bit.
Right.
My coach is, every day you wake up in the morning is a blessing.
Yes, it is.
And every day I wake up and I'm like, okay, there's still something God needs me to do here.
Yep.
And as long as I'm doing what I think if I wasn't to wake up tomorrow morning and go and be with him,
right,
I think he would say, hey, nice job.
Yep.
I really feel that way. Maybe the first 20 or 30 years of my life, maybe, could have been better, but the latter part, you did some good things, and I appreciate it. And, give me a fist bump and let me come on through the gates.
Yes. Yes. I hear you. And it's a journey. It's a learning journey. So it is very much. It is. And I definitely every day, because my wife had cancer back in 2015, 2016, and it was advanced, and it was, it gave clarity. She beat it. But you really do realize that all you have is this moment. And it is every day that you wake up is a gift. That's for sure. So, so age group of men you work with, is it vary from quite a bit of age difference?
Actually, it does. We've got men in their mid to late 20s.
Okay.
That young. And we've got one man that I want to say it was last summer or last fall was his 75th birthday.
Oh, wow. Awesome. I love that.
Yeah, so we run the basically 25 to 75. It's pretty
Awesome.
dynamic, and that's what's really cool about it.
Yeah.
Because it is all inclusive. We let it, white, black, gay, straight, whatever, doesn't matter. If you're anatomy of if you have the anatomy of a man,
Yep.
um, that's you qualify,
Yep.
and you're
Yep.
welcome into the group. And it's been extremely dynamic, especially for the younger guys. I tell them all the time, you have no idea how much value you are going to get from just being around these other men that have been there and done that.
Right. Right.
You're going to be so much farther ahead when you get to be my age. You're going to be so much farther ahead than the rest of the guys that are your age. It's going to blow your mind, because I feel like, even with what I know, I still feel like I'm behind.
Yeah, I know that feeling, and I do. I mean, that's why I thought with that age group. I mean, gosh, the experiences and everything, and the wisdom and knowledge that the
Yeah,
75-year-old can give to,
yeah.
with,
And funny that the funny thing is, the older guys you learn from the younger guys too. I
yeah,
mean,
I can understand
especially
that.
technology and things like that. We've got some of the guys that are they're into computers, and so they're
Yeah,
helping each other with phones and business applications and all kinds of stuff. So
perfect. I mean,
it
it's a
goes both
win-win.
ways.
That is so great. So have you ever thought? Have you ever thought about? I mean, like podcast or blog or anything like that, or something?
Actually, I do. I have about 100 episodes of the Men Becoming Better
Yeah.
Men podcast. Yeah, it's
How long
out
have you been
there.
doing
We haven't recorded an episode in over a year.
that? Okay.
I've had a couple of different iterations of it. I started out with a friend and colleague of mine.
Okay.
Then I went solo for a little while. Then I had another colleague of mine that she was a woman, but she was a men's coach as
Okay.
well. We did a season or so
Okay.
of episodes. So yeah, I've put some stuff out there. It was
Okay.
fun. It got to be more work than I had time for.
I can see
And
that.
so this is a lot easier when I can just come on and
Yeah.
talk and have great conversations like this, and then you get to do all the work and put it.
Yeah, I hear you. All the editing and all the everything that goes with it, as you know. So yeah, no, that's cool. So do you speak on stage, or would you speak in front of a group?
No,
I mean, men and women, or do
no.
you think?
That's something it's never interested. I'm more of an introvert, so I
Okay,
prefer one-to-one conversations versus one-to-many.
me too.
Even when I present in Men Becoming Better Men, um, it's weird for me.
Okay,
Even just in front of 20 guys, it's strange
okay,
for me. So yeah, to speak in front of a crowd of you know
I hear you. That'd
more
be
than that would be
yeah. No, I like this. I definitely I like the podcast setup very well. And so what is something that I mean, how do people get a hold of you? I mean, how do these men get a hold of you? You just put out there that you have a group and you're looking for people, or
The the in-person group right now is mainly driven through Meetup.
okay, oh, yeah, oh, really,
Meetup
okay,
app. Yeah, I started it out as a Meetup, and that's pretty much how at least 80% of the men in the group right now found me. I've brought some in, guys that I went to the gym with, or
sure,
guys that went to my church, things like that. But yeah, that's been the most part of it. The elite group now is it's word of mouth. It's my Facebook group, putting it out there on the various. I just came up with it. Basically, it was just born about a month
okay,
ago. So
okay,
each podcast I've been on, and those are the handful of podcasts I've been on. In the meantime, that's where it's out there. But yeah, it's new and it's shiny and it's exciting, and
yes,
I'm just trying to get it out there for basically anybody that wants to. How I pitch it is, if you want to achieve a big hairy goal,
okay, okay,
something you've always wanted to do, whether it's start a business, be the best father or husband on the planet,
right, right,
whatever your big goal is, whatever you want to be, or whatever you want to do or create or become,
mm-hmm.
we can help you do that.
Love that. I mean, you could just change that word to dreams. What dreams you want to.
Yeah.
So, I like that a lot. No, I mean that just. I mean, would you ever work with women? You think?
I have worked with women.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just right now because of where I what's the right word? Just kind of put myself all in on the men's side of things. So I find I do find when if I'm talking to a woman, they're coming to me with some different problems that I don't generally.
Yeah, I hear you.
I have the angle of
Yeah.
being able to. It's just I don't know. I actually have had some success helping women with dating.
Oh, really? Okay, that's cool.
Because I do actually, because of what I've been through and what I've done and what I've
Right.
learned, how many men I've talked to, I understand the male psyche pretty good. So there's been a couple where I've kind of mentored them a little bit on
Okay.
how to find the best man. Actually, I was on a podcast not too long ago with some women, and their podcast was all about dating. And
Oh, really? Okay.
the big, and this really goes for men and women. Because all I hear is horror stories, right? Especially from a lot of the guys in my group that are single, how horrible it is dating right now.
Yeah.
And I said, I would, if I was you, I would have one criteria, excuse me, one criteria that I'm going to check with somebody before I eat, before I go on a date, before I invest a bunch of time, even texting back and forth.
Right.
What are your thoughts on personal growth? And where are you with your personal growth?
Mm-hmm.
Because if someone's like, yeah, well, maybe I've watched a Tony Robbins video online.
Yeah.
Okay, well, no.
Yeah.
If you're not actively pursuing personal growth, I wouldn't come anywhere near that part, because there's especially, and I especially say this to women because I understand men, that if a man is not awoke to the fact that he needs help or needs to grow,
Right.
continually grow. We will never get to where we want to be.
This keeps on, yeah.
It's a perpetual.
It is.
It's daily, every single day. The list. I got a whole bookshelf of books that I've read and I need to reread, and I need to keep reading, because you can read one book and oh my God, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, but next week you can't remember what it said.
Oh, that sounds like me. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a perpetual thing, and if a man is not pursuing that,
yeah,
he's probably addicted to sports, video games, or porn, or something else that he's not going to be a good partner for you.
No. And I mean, it is. I mean, and I still, the mindset that after you get out of high school, college, you don't have to ever learn anything more. It's like, oh, yes, you do. Really, you were?
I was. When I graduated from college, I was like, I'm done. Not have to learn anything ever. I didn't crack an educational book until I was 45 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the first. I went back to the story when I hired my first coach. It was one of the very first tasks he gave me. He's like, you will read 15 minutes a day, every single day, or I won't work with you. Is basically how he said it. And so I was like, yes, sir. If that's what it takes, I will do it.
Exactly.
And that was 2016. And I've read at least 15 minutes a day, every day since 2016. And I, like I said earlier, I still feel like I'm behind, because as I'm consuming all these books and all this wisdom from all these people, I'm like, holy crap, there's a lot of things I don't know.
Yeah.
And if I'd have been doing that from age 25 to age 45, hell yeah, I still wouldn't be where I want to be.
Right.
But I'd be a lot farther than I am now. And I regret, that's one of my biggest regrets in life, is I was reading, I love John Grisham. I read all the John Grisham books from when I was in my 20s and my 30s.
Yes.
I love that stuff. It was entertaining, and it was filled my mind and all that. And I played a lot of fantasy football, which again was a colossal waste of time. So all those things that it took me till, like I said, until my mid to late 40s to realize, holy crap, I've been wasting my life. And now I have a yardstick on my windowsill over here.
Okay.
And I've colored it in black for all the years that I've lived.
Okay.
There's only about, I'm trying to get in the screen here. There's only about that much yardstick left.
Yeah.
So it reminds me every day that I look over there. I've lived more than I have left, assuming 85 years old.
Right. Right. I hear you.
Right?
So,
So yeah, it's a reminder that I got work to do. I got to keep at this. I got to keep making progress, moving forward, and
you do.
keep building and growing.
And I think it becomes addictive.
Oh yeah, it has. It has. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it feels good. It feels good. It feels
It
so much better than sitting in front of a TV watching a 9-inning baseball game. I mean, as much as I love baseball,
Yeah.
I used to do that regularly all the time, and it's just,
Yeah.
I look back now and I was like, oh my God, just so much time wasted, and so much of life just unlived, and where I could have been helping. That's why another, when you talk about dreams, I didn't know what I wanted to be in college, and I ended up taking the advice. I knew I wanted to help people. That's what I took.
Right.
I had a guidance counselor in college. I walked in there, and my first major that I had chosen it became a disaster very quickly. So I went to the counselor, and they said, well, what do you like to do? What do you want to do? I said, I want to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, okay, great. You can go to business school, because you can become a hospital administrator. And then, you don't have to become a doctor. You don't have to be the hands-on, but you can be the administrator, and you can help the doctors help the people heal. I was like, okay, great. I'm like 18 years old. I'm like, yeah, sure. That sounds great. And you know what you're talking about, because you're this, you're an adult, and you've been,
Exactly. Yes. Yep.
And so I went to business school, and I graduated, and dang it, wouldn't you know, you can't get a hospital administration job without clinical experience.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Well, I found that out the hard way after I
invested
4 years of college.
Wow.
Or like I said, if they would have said, go to psychology school,
right,
whatever they call psychology school, humanities or whatever, if they'd have sent me down that path, I'd probably be living large and I'd have probably had a much better fulfilling life than kind of slogging my way through the world of manufacturing and management.
Don't you think that it gave you some experience that can still help people?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't deny that. I think I could have done a lot more.
Yeah.
And I feel like I still have a lot to do before that yardstick runs out.
Right. I hear you on that too.
And I'm kind of running right now to catch up to that. And it's a little anxiety inducing, and I try not to put too much pressure on myself to get it done. But I know there's certain things that, there's there. I wouldn't put a number to it. I want to be able to help one person every day.
Awesome. I love that.
And have myself, grow myself 1% better every day, and help somebody else get 1% better every day.
No,
and if I can do that, 1% for the next 30 years,
I have a feeling you'll do more than that. I have a feeling you'll do more than that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I will. It's what keeps me going.
And that's important too. So I have to ask you, so a lot of people, you had said you got a coach and stuff. And people that I talk to, because I've had numerous coaches, say they're expensive, which they aren't. They're very reasonable. If they help you at all and shorten the learning curve or whatever. So what got you to get coach at 45? Is that when you had your first coach?
That's when I heard. Yeah, that's when I had my first one. I've had a few of them since, and I'm currently working with one now. But it's been the best investment ever. And it's expensive. But the thing is. And actually, my coach and I talked about this morning too. It's kind of funny. He looked at it as as if you were 100 years old and you were on your deathbed.
Right.
How much would you pay to go back and have a bunch of knowledge to be able to do it over again? What would that be worth to you? 10,000, 20,000, $1 million? That's what that investment in yourself is. It's giving me, I've been working with him for 6 months now. He's given me so much knowledge what he, between what he's learned and what he's experienced,
Yes.
and the challenges he's put in front of me that have helped me to expand my own mind.
Right.
I'm farther ahead. I'm farther ahead than the 6 months I would have been if I'd have just been trudging along by myself.
Yes. No, I'm all for coaching or having coaches. So, and being coached. I mean, just, it is. I have found that, yeah, that initially it's like, that seems like a lot of money, but it is. They really, in fact, actually, my 150th episode, I had all my coaches together on a podcast. So, and it was just like, these are the people that had gotten me to that point, and, I still,
right.
I talk to them a lot. And, and the one actually that got me started with the podcast was a woman coach. And she thought that I would be, with my voice, something that the world needed to hear that. And which was interesting because when I was younger, I didn't talk at all. I was very shy, introverted, kind of like you were saying. And it's like, oh, I don't know about that. But no, I'm very much into the coaches. Just for one thing, they're different perspective on how they see the situation. So, but no, I still, it's like people are like, oh, why would I could do this with that money? And it's like, yeah, you could do that, but you could get a coach and maybe do much more. So, I mean, so how you're a coach? How did you go to coaching, or how did you become a coach?
Well, when I started working with my first one, I realized, wow, this is a thing. Because I always thought it was like Tony on stage, right?
Oh yeah.
I thought that's what coaching was, and I didn't realize it was this intimate sit down and have this intimate conversation and be transparent and be real. So I was like, I within a month of working with them, I started looking up different educational certification courses and stuff like that, and jumped into one. Spent from 2017, summer of 2017 till I think end of 2018. Off and on, they had a couple different pieces of the program that I engaged in, but it was outstanding. Loved every minute of it. Met some amazing people.
Yeah.
And made some good friends. Stood up in a wedding for a friend that I met through the course. So it's been amazing, and I've done a few other smaller certification type things since then. It's been a great journey and a lot of fun, and like I said, the best part is the rewards that when you're working with somebody and they get a breakthrough, or they realize something they didn't realize before. It's just nothing better.
Yeah, when they get it. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean there. That moment there, it's like, which is so cool. It is very cool. So, well, Bob, before we end the podcast, what else would you like the audience to know about with what you do?
Yeah, just one thing actually I didn't mention is I've got an ebook out. It's called "The 6 Blatant Lies That Most Men Believe and What to Do About Them."
Okay.
You can get that through my website, which is menbecomingbettermen.com. Right up at the top. Well, the top of the screen if you're on a computer, or the little menu button if you're not. To click on there. It is free ebook. You can also access all my other links through there. You can read more about the Elite Mastermind Group. Actually read about it and apply for it. There's an application process as well.
Okay. Perfect.
Any applications I get, I'll review them, verify, make sure. Basically, I want to make sure that you have a goal big enough to make it worth your while. And then we'll have a conversation about what it looks like and what it entails, and go from there.
Very good.
Those are really the big two things I'm working on right now that I'm super excited about, and just want to have more conversations. So if anyone in your audience, you're struggling with anything from marriage to career to finances, whatever, I'm open to having conversations. Again, go to my website. You can schedule a free consultation through my website as well, and conversation, and Lord willing, I'll give you enough in that first one that you're like, oh, okay, that's all I really needed to know, and that's great.
Yeah.
And if you enjoy the conversation, we want to keep talking, we can talk about what that looks like as well.
Awesome. So, I mean, that is so cool. And we'll share all those resources in the show notes too. So that
Sweet.
is, I love your vibe and I love your heart. You have the heart of, you want to help. It comes across big time.
Thank you. Thank you.
And talk about collaboration. If there's any way I can help you, or anything like that, I love what you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll keep in touch.
Sounds good. So, well, Bob, thank you for joining us on the Dreamcatcher podcast. And I know you're getting ready to go have. It sounds like have some fun for the Friday afternoon here. So,
sure, that's the plan.
Yeah, that sounds like a good way to have a Friday afternoon. So, but thank you for joining us, and until next time, take care.